Hi, it's Sarah with Designs by Sarah J. I'm thrilled to be back with installment 4 of the Quiltmania Mystery Project, Swivel. So let's talk about what fabrics you've received and then what blocks we'll be making before we get started on construction tips. If you've signed up with a participating shop, then you should have received yardage of this shirting print that we'll be using a little bit of in blocks this installment and then again in the future. You also will have received a cut of this blueprint. It's one of my favorite pieces of the full circle line. The yardage you received this month, save for your binding. You'll just want to put that aside somewhere safe. You'll use a tiny bit of that blue fabric in one of the blocks, but you should have enough from your previous shipment for the block. And then we're actually going to work on 3 blocks this installment. First is this red block. And you can see that I pulled in a little bit of the pink accents. So this is block 1. Then we're also making a green version of this block. Here's the green with just a little bit of that pretty yellow accent. And finally, we'll be making components of a 3rd block, but we can't finish this because we need to add the mystery fabric around it, and that doesn't ship till installment 6. So you'll just make these wedges and then keep them in a safe place until we get to installment 6. So I'm going to show you how to make these blocks. This is one of the simplest group of blocks that will make this entire journey. I wanted to give you a little break if you had been questioning some of the earlier blocks. I know we had some Y seams and sometimes those are a challenge. So let's have some fun, make some blocks quickly, and then we'll be on to installment 5 before you know it. Thanks so much. Okay, I wanted to start by just reviewing the templates that we're using this month. The good thing that I'm happy to report for this month is we do not have any Y seams. These will be blocks that are constructed in wedges, which is how we started out, so very easy piecing this time. This shape is going to be used primarily with our background, and I'm going to show you that we use this both facing up and then in the reverse, so we can actually layer the background fabric to cut more of these at once. The D3 shape is going to be used with our stripes, so I'm going to show you now the options for cutting that. And anytime that you've got a stripe, you have a decision about whether to fussy cut the motif so the stripe runs vertically, or you could turn it and do some fussy cutting so the stripe runs horizontally. This is really a choice for you if you want to have a little design creativity here and fussy cut this or choose to run it straight or not. I went back and forth with this block on if I wanted this to run up or down or horizontal, and I think I'm going to go ahead and run this so the stripe aligns with the long edge of this shape. And for me, what I like to do is find one area on the print that I'm going to always line up to. That's the best way to fussy cut a shape and make sure that you have the motif appearing in the same area. So I'm picking out this little yellow floral, and I'm putting the very tip of that flower at the printed line on the template, which is the seam line. And I'm going to just fussy cut this out. So I'm going to start at the top here to get my first cut. Come in along the side. Try not to move the template. Cut down, and be very careful if you are cutting toward yourself. That's always a risk. And then I like to just kind of cut this piece out of the way so I can then move the mat a little bit without disturbing the fabric. Make sure I've kept everything lined up here. And then I'm going to come in and cut. And again, if you do cut toward yourself, please be very careful. I am only doing that really to get you all the video shot of what's going on here. And we'll bring this in a little closer so you can see where we're at. And again, make sure you're nice and lined up. And then trim those little angles at the very tip. That helps with alignment. So there's our first shape. I'm going to cut 4 more like that, and then cut the 4 from the darker red and cut the backgrounds. Then I'll come back and tell you a little bit how we'll piece this initial part of the block. Okay, for template D2, it might not be immediately apparent to the naked eye, but this template is a little bit different on the three sides, which means you can't just layer fabric in the traditional way and have your shapes work out. So because I do like to cut efficiently and because I need so many of this shape in the blocks this month, what I've done is layered 4 strips of fabric right side up, and then I'm going to lay my template on it so the words appear to me in the correct orientation, and then I'm going to lay the template here against close to the bottom edge. You can see we've had a visit today from Nora the Quilt Cat. She loves to crash my videos. I'm going to lay the template here on the strip and then just trim around it. I can pull that first set away, trim, and then I've just got to rotate the mat so I can trim off that bottom edge and those corners. So that's the way that I would be able to quickly cut all the shapes I need and have them all going the right orientation. Hope that little tip helps you out. And we'll also be cutting the pink and the red fabric from the D2 shape. As you can see, Nora still wants to be helping us out here. And as I mentioned, that D2 shape does have a slight difference in the sides, so we need to layer the fabric right sides up so everything will fit together properly. And we don't end up with reverse shapes. So I've layered 4 strips of this fabric. I've made sure the stripes all facing the same direction so this is consistent within the block. And now I'm just going to cut that out, making sure I take advantage of all the little alignment notches on the template. And I'll rotate the mat, cut the other side, and then we will be ready to lay the block out and start piecing in sections. So I wanted you to see alignment for the triangle in this pointed shape here so that you would stitch that and have a good successful outcome. As you can see, I lined up the 2 short edges side by side, the long edge of the triangle, the long straight edges here, and I stitched with the 1/4 inch seam, and then when you open that up, you end up with a nice straight edge across the top. And we'll put the other triangle, the reverse one, on this side, and then we're going to have a nice triangle. So that's why we will end up with no Y seam on this. We're just making triangle wedges. So go ahead and sew all of those, and then we'll move on to the next step of the block. Okay, I wanted to review with you how to lay out your pieces and then stitch them together with the D1 and the D2 triangle. The D2 triangle actually appears both with your colored options, and then it is part of the background fabric as well. So to make this easiest for me, I like to lay out the shapes and have them stacked right side up so I know that I've got them matching up with how the template is oriented. And then I'm going to lay one of these background triangles on top of the colored triangle, and I'll line up the corners, and then I'll stitch the 1/4 inch seam. And I'll do this whole stack of backgrounds to the colored on both pink and the red, and then I'll come back and I'll add this side of the triangle and then press, and then I'll show you how we're going to assemble the wedges. I have the units piece now to create the larger triangle, and I wanted to let you know that for this block I did press toward the background. I know that's a little unusual, but believe me, this will work better for piecing this block. Because of the alignment notches on the templates, if you're using those, if you were to press inward toward the print, can you see how there would be a gap there? So we do need to press toward the background, and that's going to keep your piece nice and aligned, and it will help you get sharp points in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and join the bottom triangle to the top pieced unit. We'll then have a wedge like this, then we'll add the next set, and then we'll be ready to actually start building the block. And you can see we've paired the pinks and the reds. We'll talk about how the color combos go for the second block in this group, but this is what it should look like at this step. We'll go ahead and join right here, and then we'll be ready for the next step. So we have pieced the bottom portion of the block to the top, And now it's time to add the A4 and A4 reverse, and as you can see, that will then give us two really nice triangles to sew together to make a square, and this block will go together just really smoothly. So go ahead and sew those A4s onto the two piece units as shown. Make 4 of those, and then we'll be ready to put the whole block together. I did go ahead and add the A4 and A4 reverse triangle here, and as you can see, my friend Nora has joined us again. Nora's been really tired of me filming videos, so she's trying to be as disruptive as possible, and I'm just giving up and letting her be in this shot here. My tip for this point is I did iron the red fabric down on the pink side and up on the red side, just so that seam will nest really nicely and give us a nice sharp spot there. So that would be my pressing tip for this portion of the block. I'll go ahead and sew this long seam, and then I'll have 4 squares to sew together very easily. This may be one of the easiest blocks we've done yet, even though the visual appearance is really complex. So let's sew those and move on to the next step. And thanks for letting Nora share a little time with us here. We're ready to work on the interior portion of the next block that we're doing in this installment, and we'll be using template E1, E2, and E3, and then down the road this will be framed with the template A4, but you can't receive that right now because that's going to be framed in the mystery fabric. A couple of things of note: you'll cut 8 of this shape, and I chose to have my stripe running horizontally here that you can see. You could do this either way, but that was my personal choice. For the E1 shape, I've got the 8 colors here, and then I've got the 8 other colors over here for the E3. You'll join an E1 shape to the top of this triangle, and you'll line the edges up, and then I'm choosing to press toward the dark here. So we'll sew these together, this group, and then we'll come back and add that triangle on, and then we'll just pause on this because we need to add the A4 shape before we start making this block. But I'll show you what we're going to look like before we hit pause on this block for this installment. I wanted to go ahead and show you what the wedges would look like for the second block at this point. So as I mentioned, we sewed the small shape to the shirting triangle, and then we added that long shape, and we've made the 8 wedges. I've laid them out here in color array just so you can see what this is going to look like, but we can't piece them together yet because we have to add the A4 triangles when we receive the mystery fabric. So for now, just keep this in a safe place until installment 6, and I'll wrap up next. Just to recap now, and you can see Nora is back again. For this installment, we made the wedges for this block that we'll eventually add the mystery fabric to. And then we made the red version here of block 4 with the pink accents. And finally, we made the green version with the little bit of gold. So we're moving along nicely. I'll be back for the next installment, and we're going to be making some additional blocks. And then before you know it, we're going to be in installment 6. Thanks so much for joining me.